Looking at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Honda Ridgeline. First thing to point out is that the steering wheel inside the vehicle is going to be manual telescoping across the board. So down by your left knee here, there's a release and full telescoping. So in, out, up and down to find that perfect position. Once you find it, click it in order to lock it back into place. And there are a number of different buttons and stalks, but let's start off. Down along the left side here, you've got a series of buttons available. So the top one is going to be your park sensing system, which can be toggled on or off, so that beeping that you get when you're closer to obstacles. This is going to be for your road departure, so that basic lane keeping system. Traction control on or off, your different safety systems on off. You can turn your bed lighting on or off, and then if you've got an electronic windshield defroster, whether or not that one's on or not. The vehicle also has an eco driving mode, which can easily be toggled on off this way. So if you want the best possible economy in your Ridgeline, you're going that way. You might also have seat memory available inside of your Ridgeline. But even if you don't, so you can easily adjust out your mirrors here. So all the way to the left or the right to adjust to either side, but get that set up the way that you'd like to. You then also get your driver's seat set up the way that you'd like to as well. So the front lever there is going to be to bring the seat forwards, backwards, up or down. The next one over is to adjust out your backrest. The next one is going to be to adjust out your lumbar support. Once you've got that set up, along with your side view mirror, you're then going to tap set, and then either 1 or 2 for it to remember your own personal profile, which is useful if there are multiple people driving the vehicle. From here, so many different buttons and stalks. So we'll start off along the left-hand side is going to be for your blinkers, flashing out your high beams. Now, you can't lock out your high beams though, so we're in an auto mode. So what that means is that the lights are going to come on automatically, but you can go to your upper headlamp mode there, push away to turn those high beams on, pull towards you in order to flash, turn off, etc. Like I said, auto is where you're going to be the majority of the time, and then toggling fog lamps on or off. Stalk along this side is going to be for your wipers. So 1 up is going to be just a quick wipe. If you drop down a level, that's your intermittent level. So then you can say how fast or slow, rain's hitting the windshield this way, go up or down to some of those crazier modes, and then just pull in towards you in order to get that wiper fluid going. The truck has paddles as well. So you've got your plus along the right-hand side, minus along the left. So if you wanted to drop out gears to increase your RPM, to pass people easier, you can do that. If you needed to rely on engine braking, that's available there as well. But if you want to walk through on a deeper explanation of how to use them, when to use them, why to use them, etc., you'll find that down in the description of this video. From here, you can change between songs or stations this way. Pretty simple. You can also push and hold if you wanted it to act as a seek button. You can increase, decrease volume this way. There's a voice command prompt here too, and you can do so many different things. So change songs, stations, etc. If you had factory navigation, that would be available. You can also, if you've hooked up to either Android or iPhone devices, do a long push and hold in order to activate either your Siri or your Google Assistant. There's a basic home button here to get to a series of selectable pages on top of that, which I'll touch on that one in just a second. Along the outside here, so you've got your cruise control options, but the big one, heated steering wheel. And it's heated all the way around with a single level. There are two different types of cruise control that you're going to find inside of the Ridgeline. It's traditional old school, or there's adaptive cruise control as well. The old school one is exactly that. So you set it at, let's say, 50. If the car in front of you slows down, yours will not brake. With the adaptive though, that's where a gap adjustment would come into play, but actually using cruise control. So you toggle it on this way. So you see that icon is showing or hiding. So that's our cruise control on, and it's adaptive because we've got the car icon along the outside there. So what you do is you'd push down in order to set your speed. It's not going to work because I'm parked, but you have to be going at least 40 kilometers an hour. So about 28, 29-ish miles per hour for cruise control to be working. So you push down to set it. You'd increase, decrease 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time, push and hold up or push and hold down to increase, decrease at larger increments. You can hit the brake pedal to cancel, pause your speed. You can push the button there to cancel, pause your speed. And then you push up again in order to resume your previously set speed. From there, once we've got that system turned on, so your cruise system turned on, you can push this one, and that's going to be your lane centering system. It is a great system overall. So as long as the lane markings are recognized, you'll notice they pop up and that'll go green. So it's not self-driving, but if you lose focus for a second, the truck can keep you perfectly balanced in your lanes, even taking you around bends and things like that. It is a beautiful system. Now, if you take your gap adjustment button here, so you've got 4 unique levels that are available, and this is going to be for the adaptive cruise. So let's say if you set your speed at 40, the car in front of you slows down, your truck will automatically brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it'll pick you back up to your previously set speed with those 4 different options that are available. If you take that same gap adjustment button though, if you push and hold it instead, that's going to change you between either traditional cruise or the adaptive cruise control. When you're in just the traditional cruise control, there's no indication of what your set speed is inside of the upper part of the cluster. You'll notice that goes green and you're set. But when you're in the adaptive cruise control system, you'll notice your set speed pop up right in between these 2 icons there. And then as I mentioned, increase, decrease, 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time. But if you want a live demonstration of actually using the cruise control system, you'll find that down in the description of this video. Inside of the cluster screen, you've got your tachometer, current time, along with your engine temperature, your fuel gauges there, along with your drive mode that you're currently in. So you've got a few different modes that are available, so you can see different options there, along with your odometer, and then whatever gear you're currently in as well. So park, reverse, neutral, drive. When you're in drive, you can push it again to get to the S mode instead. So that's a sequential mode. So the difference is that the regular drive mode means that it's going to go between gear 1 to gear 9 automatically, and it might skip a gear. So you might go from 1st to 4th. Versus in the sequential mode, you're going to go through every gear. So it'll go through 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So that would be pretty similar to using a sport mode or using paddle shifters there instead. From there, you've got your digital speed, along with your speedometer along the right side. And then you can use your little home button along the bottom there and your scroll wheel in order to customize a few things inside of the cluster screen there. So if you hit home, you've got a series of different options that are available. So you can show just nothing if you just want that screen to be blank, at which point you can push and hold the little scroll wheel to change between either miles or kilometers. From there, you can adjust out the brightness there too. So do you want it brighter, darker, etc.? I always just go maximum brightness. And then you're just pushing that little scroll wheel in to act as an OK button. And that's the same thing. If you ever get any sort of message in the cluster, push that little scroll wheel button down. You can also show what's going on inside of your selector here. So if there are certain ones you just don't care about, the grayed out ones you have to have, but the other options you can actually remove. And where that comes into play is as we scroll up and down, we go back and we go here, it's what info is showing up inside of our scroll up and down this way. If there are warnings that were available, you can look at your basic range information there too. Push OK in order to be able to reset your trip counter there too. Or you can scroll up or down to go between your different trip counters there. You've got your vehicle speed there as well. Again, same idea, up versus down, push in the middle in order to be able to reset. You can look at your audio there too, and then go up or down to change between all of your available audio sources. So I've got a USB stick with some MP3s plugged in there right now. So you'd be able to easily change between whatever source you'd like to this way as well. Then you can also use the voice command prompt if you wanted to change between sources, stations, etc. as necessary that way too. If your phone was connected, you'd be able to make some phone calls. Navigation, if you don't have factory nav, would just be your basic compass there. If you had factory navigation, it would also show you some turn-by-turn directions there, and that's strictly for factory nav. So even if you've got your phone hooked up, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, that would always just be a basic compass view if you're not using the built-in navigation inside of the infotainment system. You can see which axle is getting which amount of power, which looks pretty neat as you put your foot down. If there was any maintenance information available there, so if you're changing out your oil yourself, and then you can also see your vehicle's tire pressure. Down the center here, you are looking at dual zone climate control, technically tri-zone, because you can also clear out or adjust out your rear settings there too, including turning all of these things off. With your climate on, do you want it going to your windshield, face, feet, some sort of Frankenstein combination? You can increase your fan speed, turn on your air conditioning. With this turned on, it's going to circulate air inside the cabin, versus with it off, it pulls air from outside in. You've got different options that are available here. If your passenger side is set to something different, you can sync it up, everything to the driver's side. Put yourself into an auto mode, toggle on or lock out your rear climate. So if you don't want people to be able to use that rear climate, you can lock it out. You've got front defroster, rear defroster there. You're going to have heated seats in every trim level with the option for ventilated when you get into the Black Edition version. So a little storage tray with a few USB power points down there as well. So the port along the left-hand side here is going to be for data transfer versus the port along the right side is strictly going to be for charging. There's a 12-volt power point there, along with a wireless charge pad that you can actually push in order to toggle off if you'd like. There's some cup holders with your gear shifter here. So park, reverse, neutral, drive, or you've got that selector mode there instead where you go through gears 1 to 8. From there, there's also going to be your different drive modes that are available. So again, playing with traction control, stability control, etc. You're probably going to be in normal mode most of the time, or the eco drive mode there instead. And then there's also the auto start stop system. So that's the one that's potentially going to kill power to the engine if you stop for an extended period of time. Up overhead, there's an auto dimming rear view mirror with a HomeLink system. You can toggle that auto dimming functionality off. From there, you've got basic controls here for your cabin lights. Do you want your lights to come on automatically? Do you never want them to come on? Or in the middle, when you open up the doors, then your lights are going to come on that way. You've also got controls for your little sunroof. So if you wanted to, you can push in order to tilt or close, and then open and close from there. With the shade closed, you can also just push away in order for the car to open it up there too. There's also this little feller, and that's for your power sliding rear window. And then you're also going to find a sunglasses holder as well. So I know that was a lot of info, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel and the cluster screen inside of the Honda Ridgeline.